That's crazy. I don't think I've ever noticed Pearl Harbor from the air like this. So it was daybreak. It's coming up here in a few hours. Be 3:30 here. It's like 3:45, I think, on the East Coast. And uh, they had mini subs. They had like six mini subs that went in here. I don't think any of those guys survived. I think those are like the only losses. Well, look, you can see a plane back here in the background. This plane had just gone from this way into here and had dropped his load. That didn't sound right. Here's another plane over here. I was watching a thing today and saw where they flew over Honolulu and stuff. These are, I can't remember if these are cruisers or what. What the thing that amazes me is that how lucky America was, because like the USS Enterprise was due to be here, and the aircraft carriers, they can't fit in to Honolulu or Pearl Harbor here. They can't fit into the harbor. So there's actually out here is where they'd be. And if they had got, I mean, the Enterprise would be a huge target. It's an aircraft carrier. These planes took off from aircraft carriers, and they'd be able to bomb it right here, and they'd have sunk it. And if they sunk it, they don't know. Depending on how they did the damage, they don't know if they've been able to get it out, especially in the amount of time that the U.S. was able to rebuild everything. It was the most amazing comeback in naval history. If the Japanese had landing forces and gone in here, uh, the war could have gone on 3 more years if they had taken over Hawaii that day. Just Honolulu, just that island. That's all they really needed. Um, that's crazy, isn't it? Think like that. It's the entire Pacific Fleet was in. We didn't have much of a Pacific Fleet anyway. And but see, back then they would have. Trying to think, was the Panama Canal complete? Still, the Panama Canal you can't get. I mean, the Navy doesn't use the Panama Canal. The Navy goes around the either it's built from shipyards. If they have the Navy has to take ships from the Pacific to the Atlantic. They go around the uh, south of South America. What's that tip called? It's the Horn of Africa. Is it the Horn of South America? I don't know. Anyway, it's weird to think. And what's really bad is that you get there and you realize that it's sunrise services. It was a Sunday morning, and sunrise services were going on. Uh, People were at church, and servicemen were at church. They were supposed to be up. Let's see, like on the USS Arizona, their band had just won like a contest like the night before or something. I forget what it was. And as reward for winning, they got to sleep in an extra hour. So instead of like being up at 7, they were up at like 8, and it was those guys were still in their bunks when the bombs hit the Arizona. That's why it's such a amazing. I bet you the Arizona is probably because it's kind of by itself. It may be this. I don't think it is. I think it's like right here, maybe. So that's the Arizona, and the Park Service owns all this now. And so you take a little ferry out to the monument that Elvis Presley helped build, and to this day, oil droplets still come out. I mean, it was fully filled up, and they pumped out. I forget how much oil out of the Arizona, and they pumped out as much as they could. And then to this day, a droplet about the size of a grape continues to come up every few seconds, and it's almost like you remember that the ship is still alive. There's still servicemen in that ship, and it's just surreal. But when I went, I'll never forget. Here I was a little kid, and there was a man. I didn't understand. It's a Japanese guy, and old Japanese guy, and he's wearing a military uniform. I mean, I didn't know what kind of uniform it was or anything else. And um, his wife was taking pictures of him. He was standing there smiling with the USS Arizona in the background. I didn't understand anything I was watching. So my dad grabbed me and pulled me away. And, later explained that that guy was wearing a Japanese uniform. And it was obvious that he was one of the uh, pilots that was there that day and bombed Pearl Harbor. So when we talk about, do you have feelings about nuking Japan? Well, no, they nuked themselves, 5 years ago, the Fukushima radiation plant, whatever it is. But no, they never. There's never any sympathy. There's never any remorse for any of this. It was pride, and it was till they died, and probably still is today for a lot of them. Uh, I mean, you talk about in the America, you still have people that romanticize the Civil War and the South's role in it. Um, but so I mean, people in Japan, they still romanticize the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and I remember a guy I knew in the Navy. He was stationed recently in Japan, and when he got out, when he got back, I asked him, what his thoughts were and everything, and he said, uh, the only thing he had to say was that I don't know, it may not be good, may not be something to put out there, but he was in favor of testing a uh, I don't know how to say it. I know what's going to happen is the Autobot mod things are going to pick me up if I say it. But anyway, three times is a charm. How about that? The third time's a charm. And he was in favor of trying that theory out. So look at this. Here's you got two planes over here to the bomb. I mean, look, the water is up here, splashed up into the sky that high from where the bombs have landed and blown up. Everything that the United States is today is based off this picture. We were not going to go to war. We thought we were safe. We were separated by the oceans. And when Hawaii got hit, when our military got hit, it really woke people up. And they realized that it was only stupid ass Germany that same day declared war on the United States. Is that not something else? But idiots. They're like, oh, yeah, well, we're friends with Japan. They weren't friends with Japan. Germany had nothing to do with Japan. They never even saw each other. I think they met once or something like that. It's so stupid. It wasn't romantic like everybody tries to make it out to be. But one of my a guy, I would call him a friend. He was a Marine back then. He joined up. He joined the Marines because he wanted his pound of flesh, and he got it. Fought. It was fighting his way to Tokyo when the war ended, and he he described to me, this was before you heard anything about war atrocities or anything else, but he described that what happened in the Pacific, the way the Japanese treated prisoners, and especially the Philippines. The Philippines were the big eye opener for us. Then when China got freed, you realized how bad it was in China. But it was Japan. They were uh, they're worse maybe than what the Taliban is. Um, that's crazy to think about. It's very crazy to think about, but it is what it is. So anyway, this is it's a man. This, I'm sorry I got solemn there. I didn't check to see if I had any comments. I apologize. I got real solemn here, but this is the day that will live in infamy. And to those guys, I give my undying appreciation to. I think that generation, and if America had lost, if you ever think that America is an evil place, or you're not a pro-American, to realize that if America had lost, what the world would look like. History would be, I mean, it'd be surreal how different things would be. So there would be no more. There would be no more Jews. There would be no more Chinese. There'd be no Korea. Um, the Japanese sold Koreans to Mexico as slaves. Just give you an idea of how different the landscape would be. Think about that. What would the American? What would America be like by the time our enemies would have gotten here? The Our able-bodied men, the ones that went to war, would have been gone, and it would have been women and old men and young kids and people that were able to join the military. Kind of like Captain America. Steve Rogers was too frail to join. Those would be the people protecting the homeland. So you'd have bloodshed in New York. Imagine that. Imagine an enemy force trying to take over New York. And the Nazis actually landed in Jacksonville, Florida. They made a landing there, and their goal was to disrupt the U.S. from the inside as an espionage team. So, but it all happened because of this day. And you ready for this? Remember, all of this was over oil. World War II was started because of oil. And if you think that the environment is more important than self efficiency, look at this picture and just remember, watch Band of Brothers. Remember, this is what you're up against. You've never seen fighting like they fought then. You never saw what a human being could do to another human being, and it's disgusting and it's sickening. So, anyway, just want to thank God that these men lived before I did, so I can have the stupidity that I have now. These guys, they never got to talk on YouTube about, I don't know, the weather. Guys, sometimes I just be the best thing to ever do, right? Anyway, guys, listen, be good to each other. Christmas season's here, is upon us. Love one another, love yourselves, and till next time, Godspeed. Love you guys, I really do. Peace.